Welcome back to Behind the Gloves, sponsored by BUSR Betting. I'm Gaz Singh and I'm being joined by Brett Mcginty. How are you, Brett?
All good. Fight week. Looking forward to fighting Saturday night and ready to go.
So for us here at Behind the Gloves, this is the first time I think we've had you on our channel. So I just wanted to kind of get to grips with some of the stuff you've accomplished in the amateurs. So what are some of your amateur accomplishments for some people that may have not seen you before?
My best accomplishments as an amateur would be my 8 national titles and my European bronze and Commonwealth Youth silver. That would be the highlights of my amateur career. But for me, the biggest highlight of my amateur career was being team captain of the Irish team at the World Championships in Russia. Big highlight for me and an absolute honour.
And for those that will be watching you for the first time on Channel 5, just tell them a little bit about your fighting style.
I'm a come forward, aggressive fighter. My opponents won't have to go looking for me. I'm there in front of them. And to be fair, because of that, I'm rarely in a boring fight. I'm usually in exciting fights. So that's my style. That's how I go about my business. Come forward in your face and aggressive. Like to use my body shots well, and so they can expect all that there, and hopefully another good performance on Saturday.
For those who don't know, obviously you migrated from Ireland over to Manchester to link up with Ricky Hatton, who's now your trainer. How was that move in the first instance from Ireland to Manchester? Was it difficult?
It was difficult, definitely, because you're moving away from home, and you're moving away from your family and friends. It's all new for me. Well, it all was new for me moving over to Manchester, but it's been all worth it so far. I'm learning every day in the gym under Ricky Hatton and Brian Eunice as well. So it's been a tough. There's been tough days, absolutely, moving away from home and being away from your family. But these days they'll all pay off one day whenever my sacrifices are made worth it with big wins and big titles. So, as you say, it was a big change for me, but it's definitely going to pay off, and hopefully I'll start showing the improvements that I'm making every day in the gym, and that'll start hopefully Saturday night.
Obviously, like I just mentioned there, you're trained by Ricky Hatton. How did that link up occur, and what do you like about Ricky Hatton's training style, and kind of what's your relationship like overall?
It actually came about through my management. So they're based in LA, Sheer Sports, and they suggested maybe go over to Ricky because they'd worked with him before, and just to see how it was. Did I like it? How I found the gym, stuff like that there. And I spent a week over in the Hatton's gym. It's quite a while ago now. It's probably nearly 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And when I returned back home, I knew I was like, right, well, this is for me. This is where I want to go about my business. And from there, it took a while for things to progress, but we got there in the end. I made the move over, and I've been there ever since.
And if you had to pick one thing that Ricky said to you, what's the best bit of advice he's given you?
It was actually for my last fight. He was just saying, the fact that he says to me, like, the opponent changed, this changed. It was meant to be a 4-rounder, it ended up being a 6-rounder, and pretty much everything that could have changed did change. And he said to me, son, he says, you've took it the attitude that let's do it, let's get on with it, I'm ready, let's go. He says that's the way you need to be throughout your career. He says, his saying is, if I had £1 for every opponent that pulled out against me, he says, I would have a fair few quid gathered up. He says these are just the things that you have to be expecting in this sport, and it shows, because it's been the same for this fight. We've had a couple of pullouts, we've had a last minute change of opponent, and so far that advice has just made me realise that that's what the pro game is. Everything can change in the click of a fingers. And he said to me, he says, that attitude that you have where you're just let's do it, I'm ready, I've trained hard, I've put in the work, so whoever's in front of me is in front of me. He says that's the way you need to be. He says if you're not like that, you're in trouble, and that was a top bit of advice.
Perfect. And for those that don't know, you fought John Arden, who gave John Hedges on a Matchroom show quite a difficult night's work, and people thought that he won the fight. And I noticed up in the presser there that you said that you felt you showed your heart in that fight. Do you feel that you learned a lot from your pro debut? Because it was a tough pro debut. It's someone who usually people fight like maybe 5 or 6 fights in, but you decided to take it as your first fight. Did you feel that you learned a lot?
Not really, because like people are saying, I think people learned a lot about me more than me learning a lot, because like I knew I had it in me to dig down deep whenever the going got tough, because there were stages in the fight where he was having a bit of success and I wasn't having it all my own way like most people do in their pro debut. But I always knew in my own heart that when it comes down to times when you're in the trenches and things aren't going your way, that I have it in me. They drag it out and they pull through and they do what I have to do. I always knew I had that in me. I think some people seen we know what he's about now, because coming from 3 rounds in the amateurs to straight into a tough 6-rounder, isn't easy, to be honest. But what I learned is just like pro boxing is a complete different game. Amateur boxing is like, it's definitely a good thing having all the achievements and being a successful amateur, but at the end of the day, when you turn pro, it's a complete different game. And a lot of people, I think, maybe get their eyes open. I've realised that now from an early stage, that it really is a complete different sport. And although my amateur experience has really helped me without doubt, but I'm a novice of this game. Do you know what I mean? I have a lot of learning to do, and I know that. But I'll learn as I go along, and I'm looking forward to the journey.
I promise just 2 more questions and I'll let you go. Cheers for your time. The first one is, obviously you fought behind closed doors for your first one.
Yeah.
Now this one, there's going to be a crowd. Do you think that's going to fuel your game? Are you excited that there's a crowd back and crowds are generally coming back to boxing?
Definitely going to fuel my game. I have a few fans myself travelling over from Ireland, so I'm sure they'll make a bit of noise that'll spur me on. Not that I think I'll need it now, but because I'm a very motivated person. But it'll do no harm. I have to say it was a very a very eerie and weird experience fighting in that that completely silent environment where you can hear the slap of each other's gloves and stuff like that. The good thing is you can hear the corner so clearly. Obviously that's a positive from the whole experience, but it's it's not the same without the fans. You need that roar of the crowd, and you need that atmosphere. And really looking forward to having it back on Saturday, and really looking forward to having my first fight as a pro in front of a crowd, and with that bit of cheer behind me.
And the final question I have for you, Brett, is obviously you're now with Hennessy Promotions. You've got their backing. You've got a massive platform in Channel 5. How grateful are you to have that opportunity to showcase your skills? And do you think they're the right people to have in your team to take you where you want to go, or help you to end up where you want to be?
Massively grateful, to be honest. I've made that very clear. Like, there's a lot of boxers around the country a lot of good boxers around the country that don't know where their next fight's going to come out of, whether it's going to be soon or they're going to have to wait, or they're in and out of the gym, and there's no clarity at the minute with the pandemic and that. So I'm absolutely delighted to be with Hennessy Sports and to be under Mcginty, because he's done it with top fighters before. I've been given all the opportunities that I need to go and do it myself, so it's up to me now to keep up my end of the bargain and to keep winning my fights and progressing in my career, and hopefully we can go all the way.
Last one, prediction
for the fight: a very good performance. I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm ready to go. I'm not going to make those silly round predictions or anything. That's just not my thing. But I've trained very hard. I'm very fit, very strong, so very good performance.
Well, perfect. We'll finish it up there. Thank you, Brett Mcginty, for talking to us here at Behind the Gloves. We're proudly sponsored by BS You Are Betting, and we'll catch up with you after your fight. Oh, and hopefully at the weigh-in tomorrow. Cheers, pal.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, hey there, fight fans. Didn't see you there. If you guys haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go to do so. Bye. Clicking right here, or else.